All right, music fans, welcome. Harmless Dave here, talking real music in real time for a few real people out there, just like you and just like me. All right, let's feature Tommy DiCarlo, shall we? Dancing in the Moonlight. Oh, it's dancing around. Autographed copy. Did you see that? Yeah, me and Tommy, we've partied hard together. Downtown Fort Myers, we had a big party, and it was awesome seeing Tommy DiCarlo's band, which sounds a little like this other group from the northeastern part of the country. Starts with a B, ends in Oston. Uh, Tommy DiCarlo, big fan of Dennis DeYoung and Steve Perry. So you got to give some credit to Tommy for keeping the music alive, because he is, and his album is fantastic. So go and listen to it. Thinking of Steve Perry, or speaking of Steve Perry, Steve Perry has kept his promise. Yeah, think about this. Very interesting. So, Steve Perry is featured on this new single by the High Kings, kind of a folky band. If you go listen to the song, it's called The Streets of Kinsale. Perry first heard the song through his friendship with the Script drummer Glenn Power. By the way, the band The Script, I think, lost somebody in their group suddenly. Just throwing it in there. Don't want to be too controversial, though. Anyway, he says, I thought the song was beautiful, and the more I listened to it, the more fascinated I became. Now, this again reminds me of the time that Steve Perry worked with Clannad back in the 80s. So Perry is into this stuff, which I think is kind of cool. So he went to his home studio and started tracking some vocal harmonies against what was already there. The band really loved the results, so I ended up singing on the master track. Darren Holden from the High Kings explains, when we heard what Steve had done to our song, I had to sit down. It was so astonishing, my jaw hit the floor. There were tears in my eyes. It's something that only Steve can do with that tone that the world loves and knows. That's really cool. Very high praise from the High Kings. Now, Steve Perry, though, I think kind of the big news here overall, other than the fact that he put his vocal touch on a folk song, is that he kept his promise to his late girlfriend, Kellie Nash. I think this is just really interesting. How many years later now? We are, 5 years since Steve Perry came out with the album Traces. It says here in this article, Steve Perry has returned to music thanks to a push from his late girlfriend, Kellie Nash. Nash made the former Journey frontman, Steve Perry, promise that before she died of breast cancer in December of 2012, that he would end his years-long retreat from public life. One night she said, if something was to ever happen to me, promise that you won't go back into isolation. Now, when this all started, I thought this was kind of like a Hallmark movie in the making. And by the way, Steve Perry, man, this would be a great movie. It would be a great story to tell. Anyway, she said, don't go back into isolation, for I think it would make this all for naught. And meaning their relationship, that she believed that he should get back into music. And so he says, I had to make the promise, and I said, I promise. So it's interesting. There are rumors out there that Steve Perry now has a new girlfriend, but doesn't matter. He kept his promise to Kellie Nash. I think it's a great story. What would Kellie think of the new music? He says, I think she would love it. I really do. His broken heart led him to his music. Look, I'm not doing this for the money, honey, he explained to the interviewer. I don't need any money. I love the honesty here. The rock star who made the great deal with his former band says, I don't need any money. He goes, I eat too much already. I can only drive one car at a time. He says, this is about the passion. but maybe it took a broken heart to get there. Though Perry has embraced music once more, he is not as enthusiastic about a Journey reunion. So he was asked about this, if it was in the cards, and he kind of dodged it. He says, I love going forward. I love going to the edge of what's next. And for me, that would be a return, meaning a return to the past. He says, I have to do at this point in my life what really makes me purposeful at this moment and on the right track for me. Now, the interviewer kept going. He says, that sounds like a no. Perry answered, if you're looking for the answer I have right now, then that's the answer I have, which is no. So in any event, folks, it's just a great thing that he's keeping his promise to Kellie Nash. For those of you who have followed this story, and he continues to be a part of music. He put out the Christmas stuff. I'm hoping he'll put out some more original material at some point. He said a couple of years ago that he was working on new material in his home studio. Let's hope that that's still true. Look, I understand he's not the Steve Perry of 1982, but I think the guy in the High Kings really hit this when he said it's something that only Steve can do with that tone that the world loves and knows. So yeah, I'm just getting choked up thinking about how original and how amazing Steve Perry is. And so, you know, we hope that Steve continues, but he's kept the promise to Kellie Nash. One more time on Tommy DiCarlo, Dancing in the Moonlight. Fantastic album. Go out and listen to it. In fact, go order yourself a copy. I'm sure it's on Amazon. Frontiers Music has it, I'm sure. And that's actually the second DiCarlo album. The first one was just DiCarlo and not Tommy DiCarlo. And that album is equally impressive. So you should go out and order both of them for your collection. You won't be disappointed. All right, people, thanks for watching. Thanks for all the support over on Patreon. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I'm fighting the algorithm, and I'm losing, but we continue. We soldier on. But I'm getting a lot of kind words from people over on Patreon. They understand what I'm up against. Advertising revenue is down. Gee, I wonder why that is. I'll be covering that in more detail in another video, so stay tuned for that. And until then, see you soon.